Isla Nublar was a calculated risk. A tropical island, isolated and uninhabited, chosen by InGen as the perfect sterile laboratory to house their resurrected dinosaurs. It was a blank canvas upon which they could build their theme park, believing they could control every variable. But in their quest for a location for their grand new attraction, Jurassic World, let us imagine they made a different choice. A choice driven by a desire for ultimate secrecy and isolation. A choice based on myth, rumor, and a location that doesn't appear on any map. What if Jurassic World was built not on a sterile island, but on a living one? What if they chose to build their park on the most dangerous place on Earth, Skull Island? The first mistake would be one of profound underestimation. Masrani global survey teams, if they even survived their first landings, would report back on a uniquely hostile environment. But the corporation, blinded by ambition, would see this not as a warning, but as an opportunity. A land of prehistoric wonders was the perfect brand for their park. They would believe that their technology, their concrete, and their electrified fences could tame any wilderness. They were wrong. The construction phase alone would be a fiscal and human catastrophe. Every bulldozed section of jungle would be an intrusion, an act of war against the island's established ecosystem. Construction crews would be relentlessly hunted by creatures far older and more vicious than any InGen had yet cloned. Vicious raptorial predators, camouflaged spore mantises, and subterranean skull crawlers would treat the construction sites as a new feeding ground. InGen security forces, armed with assault rifles and tasers, would be fighting a losing battle against a world that had perfected predation over millions of years. The park's perimeter fence, a 10,000-volt barrier, would not be a wall. It would be a challenge. And then there is the island's king, Kong. He is not merely a giant ape. He is the island's alpha predator, its guardian, its balancing force. The constant noise of construction, the destruction of his territory, the scent of strange new creatures, it would be an intolerable offense. He would observe the invaders, his intelligence assessing the threat. He would see the fences not as a barrier to keep things out, but as a cage being built around his home. His attacks would be targeted and devastating. A thrown boulder crushing a generator. A massive fist splintering a watchtower. Kong would become the single greatest threat to Jurassic World before it even opened its doors. But let's assume, against all odds, they succeed. A section of the island is pacified. The park is opened. Tourists are ferried in, gazing at Triceratops and Apatosaurus in heavily fortified paddocks. But the atmosphere would be different from the wonder of Isla Nublar. This would be a park under siege. The sounds of the untamed jungle would echo just beyond the fences. The staff would be armed, jumpy. The park would not feel like a dream, but like a prison camp in a primordial war zone. Into this impossible, fragile truce, a new monster is introduced. A creature of InGen's own making. The Indominus Rex? When the I-Rex escapes its paddock on Skull Island, it is not escaping into a manageable, curated environment. It is escaping into the crucible of evolution. Its arrogance and power, so effective against the manufactured dinosaurs of Jurassic World, would now be put to the ultimate test. It is a hyper-intelligent, genetically engineered killing machine. But on Skull Island, everything is a killing machine. The I-Rex's rampage would be a symphony of violence, carving a bloody path through the jungle. It would kill for sport, for dominance, asserting itself as the new apex predator. This is a challenge that cannot be ignored. The disturbance, the scent of a powerful and unnatural new alpha, would ripple through the island's consciousness. It would draw the attention of the skull crawlers from their subterranean lairs. It would draw the attention of every predator. And it would draw the full, undivided attention of Kong. The confrontation is inevitable. It would not be in a curated park plaza. It would be in the heart of the jungle, a battle for the soul of the island. The Indominus Rex, ghostly white and bristling with malice, would see Kong as the ultimate trophy. Kong, in turn, would see the I-Rex for what it is, a demon, a thing that does not belong, a violation of the natural order he is sworn to protect. The ensuing battle would be legendary. The I-Rex's speed, its sharp claws, its camouflage, and its cunning would make it a formidable foe. It would tear at Kong, trying to bleed him, to outmaneuver him. But Kong has fought for his entire life. He has battled creatures just as large and twice as vicious. His strength is born of true survival, not engineered in a lab. His intelligence is that of a king, not a mere monster. He would use the environment, his knowledge of the terrain, his raw, unstoppable fury. The fight would not be won by tooth and claw alone. It would be won by purpose. The Indominus fights for the thrill of the kill. Kong fights for his home. In the end, Kong would stand victorious, likely battered and bloody, over the broken form of the unnatural usurper. He would have killed the monster, but he could not kill the idea. The park would be in ruins, its failure absolute and catastrophic. The surviving dinosaurs, now free, would be released into Skull Island's brutal ecosystem. Most would be quickly hunted into extinction by the island's native fauna. Some, however, might survive, adapting and breeding, forever altering the island's delicate balance. InGen's folly would have created a new, even more chaotic ecosystem. They came to Skull Island to build a monument to their own power. Instead, they scarred a sacred place, leaving behind a legacy of chaos and proving a timeless lesson. Some places in this world do not belong to man. And you cannot build a cage around a god.